Hello everyone. What I'm going to talk about today, kind of like three things. At the end of this video, I'm going to attach another video, so you'll have to really watch the whole thing to understand it. Okay, but what we're going to talk about today is the pigeon's internal clock. And what is their internal clock? It's kind of hard to describe. We'll start with the molt. We know from past videos, if you fly the dark system, you can slow the molt down. And we know with the light system, if you put on the lights for 24 hours or all the time, you'll speed up the molt. That affects the internal clock. And if you mess with it, you can lose all your birds. Another thing I want to talk about is ultraviolet light. Pigeons can see ultraviolet light. How do we know that? When the military had the birds, and they were using them during the wars, they had mobile lofts. And what they discovered is when they moved that loft, if the birds were flying home, the birds would change their direction with it because they could see that ultraviolet light coming off that loft, the reflection of the light. Now, all of these things that I'm talking about here have to do with homing your birds to home, how to come home. When we have sunspots or activity, we see you can see the northern lights. That's ultraviolet light. And that could affect the bird's homing ability. You combine that ultraviolet light and the molt, messing with the molt, you're messing with the internal clock of the pigeons. They have to know when it's sunrise and sunset. They have to know where the sun is. They utilize all these things to come home. And if something should go wrong within the atmosphere or from the sun, it could affect them returning home. Now, I know this is far-fetched, and I'm talking about it very skeptically, but attached to this video at the end is going to be my experience with the dark system. I advise you to watch it, pay attention to it. Another thing that affects your birds coming home is when they hit a big flock of pigeons and they're carried off. Nothing you can do about that. You can't, that has got nothing to do with the internal clock. They're just rambunctious, and they fly until they wear out, until they get to their destination, and that could be 300 or 400 miles away, and they got to return, and they're not capable of it. So these are all things that affect the homing ability of your pigeons. Okay, I'm going to stop it here. Continue to watch, because you're going to see my experience with the dark system. Today we're going to talk about my experience with the dark system. But before we get to that, there are a lot of new subscribers. There's a link at the bottom of most of the videos that take you to the channel. When you click on that link, you'll be able to see all of the videos that were posted. So if you miss something, and there's quite a bit of good information there that you may want to look at the end of the video, click the channel. And to you new subscribers, thank you for subscribing. Okay, on to my experience with the dock system. In the Jenna video, one of the flyers mentioned that you should have some natural sunlight come into your loft on the dock system. They should know when, like, kind of sunrise and sunset, they should be able to sense that. And you know me. I said, how did he know that? I'll check it out. He also mentioned that you could lose a lot of birds if you don't do it. Well, I did it about 5 years ago down here. I had 7 young ones, 8 young ones. I put them in the loft. I gave them 7 hours of daylight, and then I shut that loft down. Dark, black. The pigeons went, drew a molt, the body molt, just as they claim in the dock system. But the flight feathers were not dropping, it was real slow. And the birds, when I let them out, boy, they flew. They would go up high. I mean, if you're a tiplet flyer, you're going to know what I say. They're up in the pins. They were up there, flying real good. I would say they were flying an hour or two. Really good. But I kept them on that system. 7 hours daylight, and then black. I tried to let them out every day at the same time, which was probably 9 or 10 o'clock. Well, they were flying so well. I said, I'm going to take them out 25 miles. Should be no problem. I've taken my birds 40 miles on the first toss. No problems when they're flying for 2 and 3 hours. So I run them out down to Cologne Road. You may have seen that spot. It's by that lake. I let them up. And I watched them. Oh, there's a hawk here. And they went in the wrong direction. I watched them go. I said, pigeons do that once in a while. They go the wrong way. I get home, no pigeons. I never seen them 7 birds again. Well, apparently, that man in the Jenna video knew something that I didn't know. But boy, I learned it that day. The dock system is not for me. Now, that's not to say it's not a good system. I know some flyers that use that dock system, and boy, they're top-notch flyers. It's just not me. Well, pretty short video, I guess. But that's my experience with the dock system. You better if you do it, you better know what you're doing. If you like my videos, please subscribe.